Is bike racing in the UK dead? Okay, maybe that's a bit dramatic, but it definitely feels that way after this week's news. Which, if you missed it, Eurosport, which has been the home of bike racing in the UK for the last few years and costs £7 a month, is shutting down. And in its place, all bike racing coverage from the Tour de France to Spring Classics is moving to TNT Sports, which will now cost a staggering £31 per month. Yikes. And if, like me, you're not really familiar with TNT Sports, it's owned by Warner Brothers, the same company that used to own Eurosport and GCN, and now holds the rights to all bike racing coverage. And let's be honest here, this is a brutal price hike for cycle racing fans. Oh, how good we had it with the GCN Plus app just a few years ago, the golden era of bike race coverage. So will this kill bike racing in the UK? It certainly won't help. This does feel like price gouging at a time when the cost of living is already squeezing people really hard. Mortgages, fuel costs, food costs, subscriptions to other TV streaming services, and now bike racing going through the roof in terms of monthly pricing. Bike racing in the UK is definitely not in a good place as well. I've been covering the sport for over 20 years and watching it for longer than that. And I remember in London working for a bike magazine when the Grand Depart in 2007 started in London. And that felt like a real big moment. And below that big league race, we had a good national series of Premier calendars and a Tour series and lots of national teams like Rafa Condor, Sigma Sports and many others. And amateur races were oversubscribed and it was in a good place. But more recently, all the national teams have disappeared. There's no national racing at all. The Tour series, all the Premier calendars are all gone. And I see reports of local amateur races, so Cat 2, 3 and 4, really struggling to get a full field of racing because all the costs have gone up. The cost of insurance and moto marshals, it's all gone up and made bike racing from amateur level right up to national and then top level really hard to justify on all levels. I might understand the price increase if the coverage was improving. I don't see any sign of that. Or if the extra money would go to the race organiser. But as far as I know, the race organisers, the ASO, which own the Tour de France and other major races, isn't charging more for TV rights. So where is the extra money going? Well, I think we know where it's going, don't we? In its defence, TNT argues that fans will now have access to more sports. But let's be honest here, most cycling fans only want to watch cycling, not football, rugby and other sports. There's very little crossover indeed. Now, wouldn't a better business model be to let fans pay for sport they actually want to watch, whether it's cycling, rowing, skiing, football or another niche sport, because cycling is a niche sport. And technology should allow for a flexible pricing system. A tiered system from a single sport to an all-access pass would make far more sense in my opinion. Now, what impact will this have on casual fans of cycle racing? Well, paywalls are never a good thing for growing a sport. Casual fans won't pay £7 a month, let alone £31. Any sport, especially a niche one, needs to be on free-to-air television to attract a new audience, inspire the next generation and create future stars. Where's the next Bradley Wiggins going to be inspired by? I don't know. And to make matters worse, ITV4 will no longer show the Tour de France, meaning there's no free option to watch the biggest bike race in the world. And we have seen the damaging effects of a paywall on a niche sport before. So cricket used to be free to air in the UK over 20 years ago and regularly pulled in over 7 million viewers for the big matches. And then Sky bought the rights and put the sport behind a paywall and viewership plummeted. And not just about watching either, it's participation in cricket also collapsing after it moved off free TV. Because it wasn't on free TV, it wasn't inspiring people to get a cricket bat and go out and play cricket with their mates. Just really decimated the sport in a bad way. And the cricket bosses, despite the big payday, now realise how damaging the paywall has been to a younger generation of people inspired by watching a sport on free-to-air TV. So could the same happen to cycling? Well, absolutely. I always meet people, and I'm sure you do as well, who their love for sport started with watching the Tour de France. But now, well, their entry point to the Tour de France has gone. It's not only disappearing, it's gone entirely. And cycling already struggles with high costs of equipment, a lack of grassroots racing, and diversity and gender issues too. And a massive paywall will only make things worse. Cycling, like any niche sport, needs to be visible, not locked away behind an overpriced subscription. So is there a solution? To be fair, broadcasting isn't cheap and niche sports like cycling don't attract a massive TV audience, so hard to justify on that front. And sports networks are under more pressure to make more money from fewer hardcore fans. But another big challenge these days is that younger audiences, people younger than us, don't watch traditional TV anymore. Most of the outrage about the price hikes comes from middle-aged men, myself included. Now for younger fans, the reality is very different. So I love F1, but I don't pay for Sky TV to watch it in the UK. It's really expensive. I just watch the highlights here on YouTube. And that's how a lot of younger sports fans consume content now, through highlights on YouTube and social media clips rather than through an expensive TV subscription. But is there a silver lining? Well, trying to end the video on a positive, watching bike racing in real life in person is still free. You don't have to buy an expensive ticket for a stadium like football or cricket. Just head to Belgium, France, or a local UK race and experience it firsthand. And seeing the action up close, feeling the atmosphere and watching the world's best rider fly past is the best way to enjoy the sport. So while watching on TV is now very expensive indeed, watching in real life is still free, and hopefully that remains going forward. So if you can, go and watch a race in real life this year. It's the best experience money can't buy. So let me know what you think of the price hike and the access to bike racing on TV in the UK, and let me know your experience elsewhere around the world. I don't really know how it is in Australia, across Europe or America, so maybe drop a comment down below to let me know. Anyway, quick news video on this shocking price hike. Regular content will resume very soon.